Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our podcast for this week. As you can see, our regular participants are already here, Prince and Jolin. Welcome, you guys. Again, before we get started today, just a reminder for everyone to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, hit the bell notification so that you can get a notification once we post a new video. With that, let's get started. The topic for today is IPL, and we are just going to do a quick overview of the matches that were played this week. So let's get started, guys. Let's get started with general impressions so far of the matches we have seen. Prince, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think the pitches are better than India, meaning they're more competitive for a battle between the bat and the ball. So most of the matches have been a pretty good balance between the bowlers and the batsmen. So I actually like it in Dubai in terms of the pitches which have been provided for this season. So in terms of the teams, I believe which is I support RCB, so they're obviously not playing that well, and big fan of Virat Kohli. Which team is playing the best according to me? Delhi won the first game, right? Delhi.
Yeah, Delhi won both their games.
Yeah, so I like their team. I think I like their balance of their team, and I think I support RCB, but I think Delhi are playing well, and yeah, Delhi. I think Chennai are the big. Is the biggest disappointment. I think because Chennai I thought would play well in Dubai, but some horrendous captaincy decisions, some weird batting orders. So yeah, so I think Delhi have been a surprise that they're playing well and they have a balanced side, and Chennai are the shockers where I think they've kind of disappointed us. That's my initial impression, I think.
Jolin, what do you think?
Yeah, so my take on, I think not all the teams are well prepared because of the change in venue. Because I think everyone had their team prepared with eight being home games, correct? Be it a Chennai or Kings 11, the way they have selected, correct? Unfortunately, here the grounds are like much bigger compared to India. Also, as Avik mentioned, pitches are a bit different. It's not like a belter of the wicket every game. Plus like most of the team members are coming out of without any practice. I would say everyone was in kind of a lockdown and then quarantine period, so except English, Australian, I think CPL players, correct? Everyone else like underprepared, undertrained, so you probably will see that rustiness in the way they are playing, correct? I think some of the players look out of shape. I would say like they put on few cages, so not everyone is match fit, match ready. That's what I think was visible in the first week of the I think IPL. Plus assessment of the team, which team is doing better. Then I think here the younger lot probably would fare better than the older because of the sheer hit. I would say component, correct? Because I think it's really humid, and I think like temperatures are in 30, so I think it requires a lot of fitness and stamina to last 40 overs probably. Also, I think dew will play a big role towards the end of the second inning, like the last 10 overs of the match, I would say. Not really the second half, because the game starts bit early.
So, Jolin, you're frozen. I think we lost you. Prince, I like your background. You're on mute, Prince.
That's one of the pictures I've taken. It's Maroon Bell, Colorado.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jolin, we lost you. You were frozen.
Me, or it is still
No, no, now it's fine.
Yeah. So I think I was saying the last thing, correct? So I think everything, all the points I said, correct, will make this IPL much closer and much competitive. I don't think so. A couple of teams will win all the matches. So I think the competition for the top four spot will be, I think, really great this time. So it would be more fun this IPL.
Yeah. So my initial impressions, right? My first impression is that unlike other IPLs, I think fast bowlers are making a bigger impact on these pitches because initially there is bounce. I think the difference between these pitches and most Indian pitches is there's more bounce here. And if you see, in general, fast bowlers have been performing better than the spinners. I mean, if you really look at it, barring Akshar Patel and Yajuvendra Chahal, none of the spinners are getting any purchase from the wicket, or they haven't been successful. And the biggest problem with most of the spinners that I'm seeing is they're not varying their pace or length. If you start with Piyush Chawla, Jadeja, right? They have really been hit because they have been pitching it far too up, and they've been bowling far too quickly to get any purchase from it. And if you compare that to the spinners who've done well, Akshar Patel and Yajuvendra Chahal, they are bowling really slow. They are varying their lengths, they are varying their pace, and they are faring better. The other thing, first couple of games I thought dew would play a major factor, but now if you start noticing, last few games, the team that is batting first is actually winning. Because looks like I was reading this article, they have this spray that is available that you can actually spray in the outfield, which will reduce the amount of dew. So now if you see last 2-3 games, the second team is actually finding it really hard to bat because the dew is not playing that big a role. And maybe they've figured out a way not to let dew impact the game. I think the first match was where dew played a big role, the Chennai-Mumbai match. And second innings, it became, much better batting track. But other than that, I think because of the spray, dew is not playing a major role from after the first game. So that's one. Secondly, I think most of the teams somehow are getting their chasing approach absolutely wrong. Somehow they are putting too much pressure on the back end of the innings and they are not able to chase. I mean, classic example is of course Chennai and even Kolkata Knight Riders in the first game. That's a really bad strategy. I mean, the first 6 overs, you have to go hard at it because especially when you're chasing scores upward of 160, you have to get a decent start because otherwise what's happening, they're putting too much pressure on the later order. And, you have to go a little harder in the first 10. Again, I'm not saying you need to get 100 runs in the first 10 overs, but you can't get to 50 or 60 also. You have to aim for at least 70, 80 runs in the first 10 overs so that you have a chance of chasing it. Especially Chennai's strategy has been completely off the mark. I mean, it hasn't helped that their openers are going terribly, both Shane Watson, Murli Vijay. Murli Vijay seems completely out of sorts. I mean, they'll have to figure out a way. Maybe if Raidu comes back, Raidu comes up the order and they have to drop Murli Vijay. And they have to get somebody else into the side. What is also surprising, their spinners are bowling badly and they still haven't played Santner. I mean, Santner could be a very crucial player for them. He's a decent bat. He's a great fielder. And he bowls his 4 overs really well. So they have to completely rejig their team and their, upfront batting has to improve. I'm almost thinking have du Plessis and Raidu open. I mean, that they have to figure that thing out. Same thing, Calcutta did. Calcutta possibly has the 2 biggest hitters of T20, Morgan and Russell. Yet last game they were batting at 5 and 6. That's a really bad strategy. I mean, they have to have agreed. Morgan and Russell don't open, but then you have to bat Morgan at 3 and Russell at 4. I mean, that has to be a strategy. And anywhere where Sunil Narayan, if the opponent has good pace bowlers, you cannot bat Sunil Narayan top of the order because he'll get sorted out easily with good pace bowling. So they have to be smart about it. Maybe there's an opportunity here to push, Nitish Rana to open with Shubman Gill. They'll have a right-left combination, and then bat Ian Morgan at 3, Russell at 4, and Karthik at 5. I think that will give them the much needed impetus in the top of the innings. I think that's what these guys need to do. Bombay, their bowling looks really strong, right? I mean, they're bowling with, especially their pace bowling with Pattinson and Bumrah looks really good. Chahar has been steady. I think Bombay's problem right now is the fifth bowler, because Krunal Pandya again is not bowling that well, and somehow Hardik Pandya has not bowled at all. So I don't know if he's carrying an injury. Plus Mumbai's batting, somehow they are also being a little tentative. I mean, even in the last game, there was an opportunity to promote Hardik Pandya and Pollard, right? But they decided to bring in Saurabh Tiwari. So I think they have to be also smart. They have such big hitters later. If they have got off to a good start like they did, I think they could have gotten even more runs than they actually got with KKR. They had got off to a good start. It was an ideal opportunity to try Hardik Pandya and Pollard up the order. But they decided to send Saurabh Tiwari. So I think some of those things they need to address. I know their thinking was they wanted to maintain a right-left combination, right? Because Rohit Sharma was batting, and that's why they wanted to bring Saurabh Tiwari. But they have to also be a little smarter in terms of their batting lineup. Since they have big hitters, if you are well into your, if you're past the midway of the innings, I think you'll have to promote your big hitters. I think that's the other observation. Okay, good. Yeah, Prince.
I think another aspect most of the teams are getting it wrong is especially while chasing, most of the top order batsmen, I mean, it seems as if that they want to bat through the innings. So between the openers, one has to decide to go and hit, and the other can probably anchor the innings. Both players cannot anchor the innings because that puts a lot of pressure in the middle order, and that's why all the hitters then have to be promoted. I think if the top order plays a little sensibly and one anchors and the other goes, so every pair which comes in, one has to go and one has to probably anchor to an extent, which is not happening, especially in the first 10 overs. It almost seems as if the first 10 overs they feel is inconsequential. Just keep wickets and then we'll have a go in the last 10 overs, which becomes it becomes a big chase then after that, because it comes down to 12, 13 and over, and where you need to have 2 big hits and over, which is not easy.
No, especially when they are chasing, right? I mean, first batting I can still understand, but when you're chasing, when you know what your target is, if you're chasing 180, you cannot get only 60 runs in the first 10 overs. I mean, you will be out of the game. 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose the game. So I think the chasing mentality still has not been right so far by most of the teams.
And in T20, wickets in hand doesn't really matter. You can be 5 down and they can have a good partnership for 6, 7 overs and you're saved. It's not a one-day international match where a pair who's playing, they don't have to have a magical partnership of 20 overs. Any pair, if they have a good 5-6 over partnership, you're sorted after that. You don't need 5 wickets in hand or 6 wickets in hand at the end.
Right. Okay. Best innings so far that you've seen in this IPL?
I think it'll be pretty unanimous. I think probably Rahul. I think Rahul's 100 was. Yeah, Joel.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still biased with Samson's inning. Obviously, it's not a century and it's not a highest score, but the fluency at which he scored those runs, and at will he was hitting sixes, correct? Both the sides, off and leg. I think Samson was more prolific and fluent. obviously Rahul's was like he's magical, when he's batting. But I think couple of dropped chances probably helped us give him 50 extra runs. So with that in mind, I would probably go with Samson, and I think it's a high time that we should have him in our Indian team rather than having punts and other folks. At least give him a chance, correct? Couple of series, and not just saying he's just a one inning wonder. Because the way he plays, I think he looks similar to Shreyas Iyer when he hit sixes to the leg spinner, and then every time he has done that, probably one or two inning, not throughout the IPL. Probably he's not consistent as Rahul and others, but I think still the way he bats, I think he was overpowering all the bowlers, with Smith playing other end, correct? So I think a tremendous inning, tremendous confidence, and I think I would like to have him probably batting for India in T20 at least, if not one day or test.
Agreed.
I agree. I mean, at least get him into the India setup by taking him into the T20 side, and maybe he'll grow in confidence after that.
Yep.
So Prince, what was your favorite innings? Samson or Rahul?
Not Samsung. Sanju Samson's innings was explosive, I think. But what I saw in Rahul's innings is something which he can replicate. Like Samsung's inning was so dynamic that I feel that a lot of players will not, he won't be able to replicate that innings. But the way Rahul compiled that innings, which is very Rohit Sharma kind, where he first got in and then slowly gathered momentum and then exploded, right? That is something which I think Rohit Sharma and Rahul can do. Virat Kohli can do anything. Virat Kohli can probably play explosive, calm down, and then settle down and do everything. But in terms of building an innings, especially in the shorter format, I think Rohit Sharma has perfected that, and Rahul's approach was very similar, which I really liked, because he settled down, got used to the pitch and the pace, and then exploded. So Samsung inning was more explosive. Rahul's inning was more, I think, was more
clinical,
thought out.
More clinical.
Yes, more clinical and more thought out. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, my views on the best innings so far. So Samson's innings was great to watch, right? Again, extremely fluent. Back foot, front foot, spinners, pacers, and he was hitting the ball a long way. I mean, if you see his sixes, they were not the ones that were just trickling across the boundary. I mean, they were being hit deep into the stands. And his timing was unbelievable. The reason I would give Rahul's innings more points, because of course, I mean, he finished the innings, right? He went all the way till the end. I mean, you have to give him that. Even if it's 2020, it is important that you are well set. And if you really look at the other batsmen, hardly anybody else got any runs. Rahul got 132, and the next highest scorer, I think, was like 20 something that somebody got. So it wasn't an absolutely flat wicket, right? And what was very impressive was, again, he's very clinical. I think Prince, you covered it well, that in the beginning he gauged the pace. He was not going crazy, and he rarely slogged in that innings of 132. And what is honestly, I mean, again, this is a personal opinion. I think for me, Rahul is the most pleasing batsman to watch, because again, he's got an all-round game. I mean, he can cover drive you for a six, he can pull you for a six, he can flick you for a six, he can reverse flick for a six. I mean, that's the most impressive thing about him. Again, I'm not saying that he's better than Kohli or anything, but I mean, for me, he's really good to watch, and when he's on song, he's very hard to stop. Kohli is, of course, I mean, no debate that he's possibly the best batsman across formats, but I still think Kohli has a more leg side game, right? I mean, I agreed, his leg side game is awesome to watch. He's very risky and all that, but I think when he's on song, Rahul might be harder to stop because of his all-round game. Again, I mean, he doesn't have Kohli's consistency. I mean, that's a different thing altogether. But last 6 months, the Rahul we have seen, I mean, he needs to be our opening batsman with Rohit Sharma in both one day and T20. I mean, even if Shikhar Dhawan is in decent form, Rahul should not be replaced. And you've seen his consistency. He's the highest scorer in IPL in the last 3 seasons, right? And it's not only that he's getting the runs, but the way he's getting the runs is amazing. So for me, I think Rahul. Couple of other innings that I want to point out. Rohit Sharma. I mean, his pulling in that game against KKR was unbelievable. I mean, the way he was pulling the ball from outside the off stump. It felt as if I was watching Ricky Ponting in his heydays, right? Pulling off the front foot. I think among the current players, there are very few players who can do that. And I think Rohit Sharma is by far the best. He's possibly one batsman, if you look at this IPL, where for the other batsmen, people have bowled short and tried to keep them quiet. With Rohit Sharma, that tactic is definitely not going to work. He's going to hit you deep into the stand. I mean, if he's able to hit Pat Cummins, who's bowling at 140, and he's considered one of the best bowlers in the world, if he's able to hit him sixes of the front foot, I mean, you can imagine how good he's pulling the ball. So that innings was very impressive. The other innings, Raidu in his first game, he looked in very good touch as well. Because again, he's been in quarantine. And he's also not had practice. But in the first game, the way he was striking the ball was very impressive. So some really good performances. Hopefully, a lot more to come.
Yes, Abhishek, I just have a couple of points on Rahul's inning, correct? So I totally agree. He finished it, I think. But the one more thing to point out there is he was captaining the side, correct? So being a captain and then, it puts extra pressure and then he did it, correct? Yeah. So the only, I would say, not so positive side, I wouldn't say negative, because he was batting against RCB bowling attack, correct? So I think they also have a consistently really bad reputation for last 2 or 3 IPLs. So I think that was one thing that I considered while saying Samson, because definitely it was a pathetic bowling. I'm nothing taking away from Rahul. I'm not saying he was class, but I think the kind of bowling that RCB has, like Umesh and I think few others, I don't even consider them as a proper bowling attack. I think they need to work on their bowling attack. Otherwise, they will find it really hard after 4-5 games, and they will be probably out of IPL.
Yeah, no, but in the same way, even if you look at even Chennai's bowling is looking pretty bad. So even Rajasthan Royals got his runs against Chennai, right? I mean, Chennai bowling is looking pretty bad now.
So that is true, but Chennai is made it to final in last couple of years, correct? Forget about their bowling. I'm talking about the reputation that bowling attack has. Like Chennai made it to 2018 and 19 final, both the finals. They won one and I think they lost last year. So, but RCB is consistently doing bad in terms of the bowling, and they are not able to get their bowling strategy right. So that's the kind of.
I'll tell you something. The weird thing is, I agree. RCB has this reputation of having a bad bowling lineup.
Conceding too many runs.
Even when the good bowlers come to RCB, they start bowling badly. I mean, that is what I'm unable to comprehend. Because if you remember, they tried to bring in Mitchell Stark. Mitchell Stark played for them. Even he was bowling badly for them. Mitchell Stark, they got Chris Wokes. I mean, all these bowlers RCB tried to get in there, in all these years. Somehow when they would come to RCB, they would start bowling badly.
Correct.
So I don't know. Somehow, something is missing there.
Yeah.
I think what's missing is. Sorry, please go ahead.
So I think, nothing against Kohli, but I think when Kohli plays for India and plays for Bangalore, it is different. Both in terms of commitment and captainship. I don't know, because I think he has not done good. I think it is a high time that they should have another captain and let Kohli only play as a batsman. That would work both for Kohli as well as RCB, is what I feel.
Same. Right. I agree, and I actually want to take it further. I think Kohli is not a good captain. He was never a good captain. He's just blessed with a very good bowling attack in the longer format, and any captain who gets 5 bowlers who are world class like we have now in the longer format, you will win test matches, you will win one international, and you will win all formats. And I think Virat Kohli has been very, very lucky. So I feel Rohit Sharma should be the next captain for India, for sure.
In
Not
limited
in the
overs.
longer,
In limited
not
overs.
in the longer, no, not in the longer format. I don't think he's a test match specialist at all. But so RCB should change captain because they are I think they and Chennai are the only people who have left. I mean, who have stuck with the captain for so long, right? And both these teams need a change in outlook.
Leadership. Yeah.
Change in outlook, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, it's not a demerit for Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli is captaining India Test, T20, one. That's fine. I mean, he can just play as a star batsman, and I think he'll perform even better. I think under Dhoni, Virat Kohli was even better than what he is under his captaincy. I mean, his averages won't show the difference, maybe, but I feel he's more impact.
So here's the thing, right? Kohli, if you look at it, I mean, he's still, nobody kind of talks about his captaincy, right? That he's done amazing. At least with Dhoni, agreed. I think he was a below par Test captain, Dhoni. But in limited overs, I don't think there's been a captain better than Dhoni, because he had the knack. I mean, he had the instinct. And one day and Test captaincy is very different, right? In Test cricket, you have to have that attacking mentality. And when you say attacking, I mean, you cannot go all attack as well. I mean, you need to know when to pull back and when to attack. The problem with Dhoni in Test match was, he somehow, even in Test, he would captain like one day. He would let things drift. That was his drawback. But then that was his strength in one day, where he would constantly change things. It of course had an element of luck as well, right? I mean, if you look at some of India's biggest wins under him, and then Jogendra Sharma is a classic example, right? I mean, I think 9 times out of 10, that would not have worked for India. So that worked for him. And then, again, look, he has a knack in limited overs to make the right moves. He would know when to, all of a sudden he would bring, no wicket was being taken, he would bring Suresh Raina to bowl and he would pick a wicket. I mean, logically speaking, those decisions won't make sense, but Dhoni made it work. So I agree. I mean, Kohli somehow, if you look at his captaincy, even in the game, right, last game, he knew Chahal and Saini were his best bowlers. Why would he have Shivam Dube bowl at the end? I mean, there has to be some thought process that goes into that, right? And I don't know, they have Chris Morris sitting in the dugout. They are struggling with their bowling. Why they would not pick these guys? I mean, it's appalling.
Agree.
Yeah. Now, bowling performance. Prince, you go first. Your favorite bowling performance and general commentary about the bowling.
So I'm very bad with remembering innings and
so I'll remind you the top bowling performances, right? Of course, Rabada in the 2 games, unbelievable, right? Then Yajuvendra Chahal, amazing control. I mean, bowling for a side like RCB where people are leaking runs all over the place, the way he's bowling. Akshar Patel, again, not so penetrating, but very good defensive bowling. Bumrah for part of the second game. I mean, other than the last over, the way he bowled those 3 overs. The other impressive performance for me was Pattinson. I think he looks like a really good bowler. And whatever little I saw of the other South African guy yesterday, what's his name? Nofke or Notke, I forget his name. He looked very promising. I mean, hit the dead bowler, very accurate, good variations. So these are the performances I can remember.
Yeah, so I think you're forgetting Abhishek. Abhishek won. I think which matches like who has a purple cap like your T-shirt color, Mohammad Shami. But
Shami. Shami. No, but the purple cap is with Rabada now. He has 5 wickets.
He had once purple cap. I meant to say, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was about to say that. So
yeah, Shami.
Rabada spelled especially in the super over. I think his 6
amazing.
balls were fantastic, and I expect this from Rabada and Bumrah, so I was not surprised. I think Shami is the person who even I did tell you his first match I saw he took 2 wickets, I think, but he was brilliant. He was bowling the perfect length in his first 2 overs, and in the last 2 overs he was bowling Yorkers. And it's very, very hard to pick Shami up, especially because of his skiddy action, right? So
This
he's
I
also
don't this this guy Aman. He's such a pain in the ass, man.
I know.
Go ahead,
I
Prince.
Driving.
I hope he's not.
and I still
I hope he's not
joined.
hearing.
You guys should be happy. And you better don't put this over internet.
Aman, your video is not on.
Oh,
Are you diving to the cricket field? Is it?
only if you delete the video, he'll come on.
Aman,
the
you're
video.
on mute.
Nah, not to cricket field.
Okay. Has cricket started or not?
It's possibly going to start by sometime mid of October. That's the indication. But let's see. I mean, we have played a practice match last Saturday,
Okay.
which was pretty good. I mean, obviously the intensity was low and people were being more cautious, precautious. No bromance going on the field.
Listen, if the professional cricketers are struggling to come back, I can imagine you guys who have full-time jobs and play on the
Exactly.
weekends. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Aman, we were talking about the best bowling performances so far in the IPL. So Prince was talking about Shami. Prince, go ahead.
I think Shami is one person I thought is on his game. I think he's looking fit and he's bowling. I mean, he's bowling length and lines which are pretty hard to hit off because he can pitch up the ball at the death over and he can bowl just short of length in the initial overs. And plus, he's very skiddy, so his pace of 138, 137 seems like he's bowling faster than that, and that kind of tricks the batsman into committing to the front foot. And where he gets a lot of people, LBW are caught behind because of that. So Shami and the other bowler, which is not a surprise, but I think Chaul is bowling really well. I mean, he's very unlucky that he's playing for RCB. Any other better captain probably and a better bowling unit, he would be winning matches for his team. So Chaul, I think, is very intelligent and he's bowling really, really well. So for me, it's Shami and Chaul. Rabada, I expected that from him because he's just world class.
Yeah. Jolin, you want to go next?
Yeah, so I think I would like to pick a spinner because I think all the fast bowlers are doing good, correct? Whoever are the world class. I think I like the one under 19 leg spinner, Ravi Bishnoi. I think he is bowling exceptionally well. He just had couple of outings, and I think in both the outings he took, I think, a fair amount of like 5 or 6 wickets, I believe. And I think the kind of confidence that he has and the way he is bowling, correct? I don't think so. Even when all other bowlers were taking apart, like from Punjab, I think being a spinner, I think he was very composed, and I think they couldn't hit him, correct? And I think he also has a I think great amount of control being a leg spinner. I've seen him ball in the under 19 final as well. I think single-handedly won us the match. Unfortunately, he couldn't, finish the game, and then we lost because he only allowed to bowl 10 overs. But yeah, I think for me, I think he is the future of Indian spin attack, and I would go with him.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out about Bishnoi is he looks very cool. If you look, he took 2 really good catches as well. He got Virat Kohli and I think he got the other one as well, right? Palikil's catch. And I mean, he's a young guy, right? I mean, you see how nervous these people are. If you look at that guy, Rituraj Gaikwad, I mean, he looks completely at sea. And, this guy plays with him. So the other thing very impressive about Bishnoi is how composed he is. So yeah, definitely a good prospect. Aman, what is your take so far of the games you have seen?
No, I think I totally agree on the Bishnoi part. I'm actually quite impressed with how he has been and how his temperament has been throughout. Not just in the bowling, but I think his composure and his variations in the middle is exceptionally well. I was pretty impressed with that. I was hoping a little more from Bumrah and what's his guy name? Going blank on him, but couple of main seam bowlers from the current Indian side who are regular. I'm actually quite disappointed in them. this season. Maybe because how the Dubai pitches are, they are not suited best for the seamers.
No, Bumrah looked very rusty for me in the first game, but I mean he came back in the second game. Although Aman, I mean, if you really look at it on these pitches are more friendly than India and for pace bowling. That's what we are seeing. Pace bowlers are doing very well. I just think that Bumrah was very rusty to start with in the first game. I mean, he was getting a game after so many months, but then he came back really well in the second game. If you look at it, of course, last over, Pat Cummins kind of took him apart. But other than that, the 3 overs, I think he hardly gave away less than 10 runs in those 3 overs.
Yeah, but I think, he was bowling pretty safe, and that's what was these guys
Aman,
are
you're breaking.
like 7 months on the day, and then they're just trying to get into the rhythm right now.
Yeah. No, the other, so for me, all excellent points that you guys made. I want to still talk about Rabada. So I know he's world class and all that, but he's still, even if you hear the commentators, generally, they will talk very highly of Rabada when he's playing and when he's on the screen. But generally, when they talk about bowlers, off late, people talk about Pat Cummins, Bumrah as being the top bowlers, right? Rabada somehow goes under the radar, but he's unbelievable, and he can bowl with the new ball. He's awesome with the old ball, and he also has a record to prove, right? There are some people who bowl well, maybe their record is not great. He ticks all the boxes. And super over, it's unbelievable. Not only that he did it this time, he did that last time as well against Andre Russell, if you remember. He bowled an unplayable Yorker to Andre Russell, even in the super overs last year. He's just too good. And if you look at his variation, he has it all. He has the bouncer, he has the Yorker, he has the slower ball, in swing, out swing. He's unbelievable. And again, composure, right? Temperament at this highest level is possibly the biggest asset to have. And I know, Aman, you are a big fan of somebody being composed, and temperament is a big thing for you. I know, and which is right, especially at the highest level. I think at times, even more than talent, it's your mindset and temperament that makes a huge difference. And Rabada has it. If you look at it, he's bowling into a super over, and he doesn't look nervous, right? He looks very confident, very calm. Rahul, you would, the way he's been batting in the 6 months. Bowlers would be afraid to, bowl to him, especially trying to bowl the short ball to him. But Rabada is so confident. The way he got Rahul in that super over, he knew that he has the pace, and he has, he can, hustle anybody, and that was the difference, right? He got Rahul, and then of course some of these young Caribbean batsmen, they are the ones who need to build a temperament, because they have great hands, they have great hitting ability, but they just don't seem to have the sense, right? Hetmeyer and Puran, they just don't know when to defend and when to hit. Classic case is Puran, right? He saw this guy Rahul got out. There are still 4 balls to go. What he should have done, he should have tried to score, play regularly the 2 balls and then try to hit in the last 2 balls. You've just lost 1 wicket. In the super over, that is your last wicket you have. Why do you want to just close your eyes and start swinging the bat? And that made no sense.
I don't want to go down that route, but I think the generation of Lara and Chandrapal and Ambrose, those guys were at a different level with committed and focused towards the game. I think it comes down and boils down to the leaders, and not to pick any names, but no offense to any great players, but leaders like Chris Gale, when they go and party harder, then obviously they have their own strength. But when you set that tone and composure with the whole team, it boils down to everyone. And I think that's what everyone is in West Indies team these days. They believe in just slogging, coming and hitting, and then obviously partying harder. I don't think they have the enough focus To
No,
be honest, I was surprised
that's a
when they
good
won
point.
that.
That's an excellent point. I think role models, right? The kind of role models you have, I think we tend to underestimate what role models have, in today's times, right?
Exactly.
Aman, the point you make is excellent. Brian Lara and those guys had role model like, Viv Richards, Desmond Haynes, Gordon Greenwich, and these guys have role models like Chris Gale who party till 4 o'clock in the morning and try to play a game at 6 o'clock. So I agree. I mean, they definitely lack the discipline. And I think that shows, right? I mean, these guys are amazingly talented. I remember one innings Hetmeyer had played last year at the end of the IPL. I mean, the kind of hitting capability these guys have is amazing. But again, absolute lack of sense and lack of discipline, right? Hetmeyer, have you seen him fielding? I mean, he dropped 2 dolly catches, and not because of that. I mean, there seemed to be a lack of effort, which worries me a lot. I mean, even Kohli dropped 2 catches, but at least with him there is no lack of effort. He didn't drop those catches because he was not trying hard or he was not practicing hard. So that's what's disappointing about the Caribbean players.
I actually like the languidness of the Caribbean players, so I don't have a problem because they're not the country I support. So I would rather have them play like that because I mean all the teams being very serious and very
No, I mean,
committed,
the
having
question
having a diet and having a 6-pack ab and being like Virat Kohli, turning into vegan, that completely works and most of the top sportsmen do that, including Djokovic, uh, because that's what's required to probably succeed. But I like the mix of players where some are like that and some people are a little more languid.
No,
So,
I think everybody loves the languidness of the Caribbean players, but I mean, there's a difference between being languid and being absolutely reckless, right? I mean, I think I have a problem with being absolutely reckless. I mean, especially Puran and Hetmeyer, they are very, very talented. I have seen them play some unbelievable innings. But the way,
against us, I remember,
the time and again, the
T20.
way they try to, I had the same problem with Prithvi Shaw, right? I mean, amazingly talented, but very bad shot selection. Very bad shot selection.
But I think it's more to do with their application, which is nothing to do with their party lifestyle. Because a lot of sportsmen party, but when they're on the pitch or on the ground, they perform. I mean, so a lot of people on the pitch, like Shane Warne was a party monger, but Shane Warne on the pitch and on the nets, he was a brilliant performer there. So I mean, I think lifestyle, if it's affecting your fitness, then it's wrong. But if it's not affecting your fitness and you're on the pitch game, then I don't have a problem with
No,
anyone.
I agree. The only difference being, you talked about Shane Warne, but Shane Warne, he partied a lot, but he didn't party. He didn't party till 4 o'clock the day of the game, like most of the
But
Caribbean players
that's
do.
more of an IPL culture. That's
No,
something they've
no.
created.
Let me tell you, that's not right. Here, and Aman, you would know this better, but when the West Indies team was here, playing in Florida, Evan Lewis, you remember the first game we watched, he got 100. He actually was partying till 4 o'clock in the morning. I know he still got 100. But the current West Indian team, that is a big problem. I know, I mean, once in a while you will get 100, but on a regular basis, if you try lead that lifestyle, it's going to be hard for anyone. It's hard to keep up for anybody. And that is a problem with this current team. So West Indies team players have always partied, but this team has taken it to an absolute new level. And that is why if you see West Indies can't get 11 players to play test matches, because for test matches you need discipline. And that is reflected in the current culture, right? West Indies, I don't think, can even beat the current Zimbabwe team when it comes to test matches right now. Because they have nobody who has the patience or the mindset to play for 5 days.
Didn't they beat England in a recent test match?
Yeah,
no, they did. But
I know.
No, but they lost the series, right? They still lost the series.
Yeah, but
they won one test match. But if you look at it, they won one test match in years. If you look at West Indies' record in the last 7 years, their record is worse than Bangladesh's.
I think more than discipline, they require a good domestic circuit and a good admin, a good administration, because they have a huge problem with salary
and the money which the players are getting, and they have a lot of contract issues. I think if that is sorted, because I know a lot of players who actually stopped partying, lost weight, became fitter, and then they became horrible players. And one of the biggest example is Inzamam ul Haq. Each time he lost 10 kilos, he would score 10 runs. So
No, again,
in terms of lifestyle,
but again, see, you're talking about losing weight is something different. But Inzamam did not party. He was not unfit because he was partying, right?
That's another level of indiscipline, right? So indiscipline cannot be only partying. Fitness is not maintaining your weight, and not being fit is also indiscipline. And that's my point.
I know, but again, I think the problem is I mean, it's reflecting on West Indies' cricket also, right? I mean, they stand nowhere.
I think it's lack of talent also, because see again, they have the talent to hit big, but consistent world-class player, they haven't produced even one in the last 30 years. It's not because of their lifestyle. They just don't have the talent. A lot of people mix up talent with big hitting or wicket taking ability. That is not the only talent. Talent like Pujara for me is talented. Just because he cannot play flashy shots, his talent is concentration. So that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, but that is a discipline, right? That's a discipline. The players
that's
don't
also
have
talent. Concentration. A lot of.
I agree.
Yeah.
It is a combination of talent, but discipline is important. I think discipline.
Correct.
Problem is the players lack discipline. And Test cricket, that is if you look at the top players in the world who've done well in Test cricket, one key aspect they had was discipline. Even Virendra Sehwag, who was flashy in Test cricket, he still had some amount of discipline. He knew how to play long sessions.
But Viv Richards was famous to have a beer and go for a knock. He was famous for that. But then that was a different generation, of course.
Yeah.
That was a different generation.
So I just have a couple of points here, correct? So I think we have to put that Puran shot probably in perspective, correct? Basically, it was the first game of IPL. Second, I think he never proved his kind of worth in IPL ever, correct? Although he was part of IPL for last so many years, and it was a super over. See, the thing is, everything plays on your mind, and I think he wanted to kind of prove himself, in a one go, because I think that makes your price from 2 crore to 10 crore, but if you win the match for Delhi, or you would have won the match. So I think that's something plays in anyone's mind, and more for the Caribbean players, because that is what they play around the world, correct? And they don't have their national team playing really good cricket in terms of test match or ODI. So that was one thing. And second, I think I would rather have a player getting out by playing shots, unlike Dhoni and other few players we have seen.
I agree, but I think in the super over, that was a stupid mistake, since it was your last wicket and you still had 4 balls to go.
So on that point, I answered my first point, Gareg, why he tried hard. And second is I rather have player play like show intent and get out. I mean, it's not relevant here because it was a horrendous shot, and I think they lost the game or match, I would say. But I'm just saying, like, why he played that way, just to make a fame for himself. That's what it is.
Yeah. And the other thing, again, it was a bad move by Kings 11 as well to bat Puran. Why would you bat Puran? He was out of form. He just got out for a duck. So I think somebody commented, right? He must be the only cricketer to get a pair in a T20 game, because he was out 0 for in the actual innings, and then he came to bat and he got out in the first ball again. So it was actually quite daft of them to have Puran open. I mean, to come to bat.
And you can't approach a super over in a one singular fashion, because you're playing Rabada. You're not playing Joginder Sharma.
And more importantly, I can understand, the opening batsman going for it, because he knows there's another wicket left, right? It makes sense that the opening batsman tries to hit the ball. That makes sense. And now, this is the last wicket. And then Maxwell had just walked out, right, on the other end. He could have just, tried to maybe just push for a single, or tried a shot which is more palatable. And he just swung the bat. It looks like he closed his eyes and he just swung, which was very disappointing.
Again, I think against extreme pace and someone who's accurate, you need to work the angles. And I think ABD is famous for that. ABD uses the pace of the bowler against him. and that's how you score. So I think ABD and even Virat Kohli, I think they very smartly play the angles, I think.
True. Yep.
Okay, so today's games, again, I know we are not watching, and if you're following the score, don't mention it here. I'm going to watch the game. I've put my TV on pause so that I can watch the game almost like a live game. But what do you think? What's going to happen in today's game?
Unfortunately, I've seen the score.
Okay, no. Okay, so don't go.
No, I would not say, but I think I'll say what I thought probably after first inning.
Right.
I would go with sorry. I would go with not KKR but the other team. The score 140, right? SRH, because of the bowling lineup that they have today. I think Rashid Khan probably will play a big role. That's what I thought. His 4 overs would be tough to handle, and I think he would kind of win the match for SRH.
Okay. Aman, did you watch the game, the first innings?
I did not. For some of the few overs earlier on, but I totally agree with Javelin, and I think I picked up in fantasy that guy, hoping that that guy will make a difference, and I was excited to see him. Even though from heart, I think I want to win. I want to have KKR win, but I don't think they're going to make it today.
Prince?
All the players I've selected will probably flop. So you guys can decide your team based on my team. So whoever I select as captain, just don't make him a captain, and you guys will do well. So I'm sure. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm sure Shubman Gill has flopped. I'm sure Narayan has flopped, and I'm sure who else was in my team. All of these people would have flopped for sure. But I mean, jokes apart, I think 140 is chaseable, and I've not seen the score at all. I think 140. If you can't score 140 with this ensemble of players, I think you need to quit. Yeah. Quit IPL. 140 against any attack should be an easy chase.
Right.
No matter who. Even against Bombay.
I agree. I again, my thoughts midway was KKR was going to win easily, because
I think
the pitch again, for me, the pitch didn't look anything that it was doing that was out of the ordinary. It wasn't spinning much. There was not much bounce. Plus, I think the KK type team they have selected today is more balanced. Again, I don't know what batting order they are going to send, but if they get the batting order right, it should be a fairly easy win for them, because again, they need to bring Morgan and Russell up. They need to figure out what they want to do with Narayan. Narayan at the top of the innings. Although in this game, SRH they do not have express pace, right? I mean, who are their pace bowlers? Who are their pace bowlers? They have Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who's not express pace. There's Sandeep Sharma. Is he playing? No, not Sandeep Sharma. The other guy,
they picked Khalil Ahmed. Probably he is a good bowler because he played for India. I'm going to say he's a left armer, so I have a affinity towards left arm seamer. But yeah, I'm going to say I think Nabi and Rashid will make a difference. Rashid and Nabi both will do something.
So Nabi again, he's a good defensive bowler, but Rashid is the only one I think who can possibly make a difference, and he can stop KKR, because again, even now I don't think a lot of people read him. Especially Russell doesn't read Rashid at all.
True.
Russell finds it very hard to read Rashid, so that might be a case. But I still think 140. I agree with Prince that if KKR cannot get 140 today, then I don't think they are going to fare very well. For the rest of the tournament. But I strongly think that the today's KKR lineup is a very balanced lineup. I think if they can get their batting order right, they will be a strong team to beat. Again, Morgan needs to come into form. Prince and I were discussing yesterday. Morgan is such a deadly player in international cricket in limited overs, but in IPL somehow he's never delivered. He used to play for Knight Riders earlier. He didn't do anything great. He played for Delhi. I didn't think he did anything. He played for RCB. He didn't do anything there as well. So it's high time Morgan performs. So I think that's going to be key.
I think Morgan is a finisher, yes, but I think we don't have a KKR doesn't have a middle order batsman who can actually accelerate, right? So promoting himself, Dinesh Karthik, I think it's not a bright idea. I think Morgan and Russell each should get at least 3 to 4 overs to bat.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why they need to be 3 and 4.
Innings.
They need to be 3 and 4.
I would actually promote Morgan as one down because they don't have a star player.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So Morgan has to be 3 and Russell has to bat at 4. When 1 down and 2 down.
Because every top team has a star batsman at the top, barring KKR. I mean, Shubman Gill is just a young player. So
he's good, exactly. So that's the problem, right? I think their main problem is their openers are not clicking, right? I mean, again, Shubman Gill is good, but on the other side, Narayan is hit and miss, and right, against any decent pace bowling attack, I don't think he can do it. So that's why I firmly think that this guy Nitish Rana and Shubman Gill should open, and then follow it with this guy Morgan, Russell, Karthik at 5. And then, 6, whatever. Then they can bring in Cummins and the rest of the players. And they bat fairly deep now with Pat Cummins and even Shivam Mavi can bat. It's not that Shivam Mavi cannot bat. So
even Nagarkoti can bat.
Nagarkoti can bat as well. So I think their batting is deep enough. The only problem is they need impetus up front. I think that's where most people, that's where they're struggling, right? Chennai is struggling with impetus up front. KKR, I think, has the same problem. So those are the things they have to address. But I seriously think this KKR team is balanced. I mean, you look at the bowling option. They had 7 bowling options today.
I didn't quite agree with the way he captained the team. I mean, they scored 140. I think they would have scored 120 if he would have stuck with the bowlers who were bowling well. A lot of them did not complete their quota. Like Mavi, I think has been bowling really well, and even in the second over, he bowled really well.
No, for me, I think he bought Nagarkoti really late. I mean, if you have played this pace bowler, he first over he bowled was I think the 10th or the 11th over. I mean, you should have tied him earlier. That's one thing. I think the one thing, again, I'm not a big fan of Dinesh Karthik's captaincy, but I think today what he wanted to do, Russell. You want Russell to, get involved in the game. I know, I mean, maybe if there was some other captain, the others were bowling fairly well, they would never have bowled Russell. But I think Russell likes to be in the thick of action, right? And I think his bowling kind of helps his batting as well. So if you see his performances in the last 2 IPLs as well, the matches he's batted well, he's also played a role with the ball. So I think that is one of the reasons why he did it. I mean, they were lucky today that their bowlers bowled well. But Karthik, again, I'm not very impressed with his captaincy. So I think he's again lucky to hold on to captaincy because there's nobody else, no other Indian player who can be given the captaincy in KKR, especially with Robin Uthappa gone. So I think that's why he held on to the captaincy. Otherwise, I don't think he's too fidgety to be a good captain. If you look at his body language, there's a funny comment that Harsha Bhogle made today in the first over. In the first over, he was talking so much, Karthik, that Harsha Bhogle mentioned that so far, in the first over, he's spoken more than the commentator, Karthik, which was a fact. He just continued to talk through all the 6 balls. Karthik was talking.
Yeah. True, but I think I just have a comment on Morgan, correct? I think he is an amazing player, but I think we'll have to see. He is an amazing player for English side or the England cricket because the kind of top order England has, correct? I think there are no all the hitters are there in England, correct? Starting from Bairstow, Butler, then Benton, new guy, Malan, you name it, and they have like big hitters. So if you come after like 2 down, 3 down, I think you have a lot of runs behind, or even if not, there is a Stokes and other folks to come in, correct? So that gives him a cushion and play freely. He would not play such kind of inning for any IPL team, or probably per se KKR, because there is no top order, there is no finisher, correct? Like if he gets out, I think KKR will be in trouble, So I don't think so he'll be able to play freely like that for KKR.
But you see, I see what you're saying. The only thing I'll say is, but if you look at England's games, when their openers have flopped, Morgan has pulled them out quite a few times.
Because
he bats at
the
4 or
players.
5.
True. But do you see who the players are going to come, like Moeen Ali, Stokes, and all are like hitter, like so for him. But here in KKR, the Russell probably is the only one probably going to help him out. Otherwise, no one.
But if you look at, but then in that case, you say he has hitters around him, right? But if you look at Morgan, even he doesn't play slowly; he plays very aggressively, and he's a 6-hitter. And the thing with Morgan is he's a huge 6-hitter.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know if you remember in that one game in the World Cup, I think he 12 or 13 sixes in that one game.
17 sixes.
17 sixes.
Yeah.
So it's not that he plays well when there are aggressive players around him. I mean, he himself is very aggressive. And then he has an advantage of being a left-hander. Plus in limited overs, they can bowl only one bouncer. So his weakness is real fast short bowling. But in limited overs, he doesn't have to deal with it. So that's why he can be dangerous, but then you have to, again, he's not the player who's going to, you cannot expect Russell and Morgan to get 15 runs every game, 15 runs per over for 10 overs, right? I mean, that is unfair. You have to bring them in early so that they can get some sighters. And then later, I think they can do wonders. Plus, both of them being right and left, if they are batting together, it'll be deadly dangerous for the bowlers.
I think if you're playing a specialist foreigner player who's considered to be a limited over specialist, if you're playing him, then he should play a little up the order and take the responsibility, because anyway there's no experience in the KKR team. So Shubman Gill, what's the other guy name, the lefty, all of them are young players, right? So if you're a captain of a national team like Steven Smith is also not an excellent T20 player, but he's taking the responsibility, batting high up the order, anchoring the innings, and playing at a brisk pace. And if Smith can play at a brisk pace, I'm pretty sure Ian Morgan can play right. I mean, he can hit it. I mean, he's flopped for the other franchises. I agree. I mean, he's not played to potential.
Even for the other franchises, they didn't give him a chance to top of the order, right? They would bat him 5 or 6.
Yeah, and no. If you're playing him, play him up the order. There's no use of, because he's not an all-rounder. He will not give you bowling overs. Like Russell will at least give you 2-3 overs, and then you can make him bat at number 5. But if you're playing Morgan, give him overs. That's what I feel. Otherwise, don't play him.
And the problem is their overseas players are almost locked, right? Because I mean, Cummins, they will play him because he brings batting and his bowling is really good. Russell, they're going to play for sure. Narayan. So their 3 positions are, I think, almost locked. Now it's only the 4th overseas player that again the 4th player. If Morgan continues to flop, they will try to possibly bring in Lockie Ferguson, but then they would need another strong Indian batter in the middle. So even their overseas players, I don't think they have a lot of options.
The other angle is if Morgan plays up the order and scores well, I think it's high time Dinesh Karthik is shown the door and Morgan becomes the captain, because he's a very good captain. He's considered to be one of the best captains in the World International.
Right.
Yes. So if he plays well and if you give him the responsibility, if he plays well, you make him the captain. If he doesn't, next season don't buy him, but at least give him the chance.
Correct. Yeah. I think SRH has a similar problem, right? I mean, their best 2 batsmen are foreigners and they are batting at the top of the order. And the problem is they cannot play Kane Williamson, again, who's, I think a couple of years back, he was the orange cap winner, but yet they have to keep benching him. Because if they play Kane Williamson in the side, then they can have only one bowler, which will be Rashid Khan. Then, that bowling will, but their bowling will become weak. But their batting looks really weak. I mean, you know they are in trouble when Ridhiman Shah in a 2020 is batting at number 4. Because after Bairstow, Warner and Manish Pandey, they don't have anybody, Indian or foreigner, that can actually do it for them.
But they have 3D player. 4D player, sorry. They always have 4D player with him.
Correct.
That's their batting is a definite problem. SRH
But I love Shankar, but the way he convinces every captain that he's good and he plays matches, it's amazing. I mean, he convinced people he played the World Cup. I cannot believe it. I mean, he just had one match-winning innings before the World Cup and he was selected for the World Cup. I mean, it's unbelievable how much money he would have paid Virat Kohli and Dhoni.
No, but it's funny that when you look at Shankar, when Shankar is batting, and if somebody doesn't know about Shankar and they've just heard that he's an all-rounder that's been picked, so when he's batting, people would think, oh, this guy is obviously a bowler. He's a bowling all-rounder because the way he's batting, he cannot be a batting all-rounder. But then when you see him bowling, and then you think, oh, so he's obviously a batting all-rounder because the way he bowls. I mean, that's the funny part about Vijay Shankar. When you look at him, he's terrible. I mean, he's one of the luckiest players in the world to have played for India. Can you imagine? Amol Majumdar never got a single game for India. And Vijay Shankar played the World Cup. VVS Lakshman has never played
the World Cup. I know.
And Vijay Shankar has played for India in the World Cup.
Amazing.
That cost us a World Cup, correct? It's what it is.
I think two decisions cost us the World Cup. One is Vijay Shankar, the other is Dhoni.
Yeah. And people will not a lot of Dhoni supporters will not be willing to accept.
But Dhoni is brilliant. I mean, he's legendary. But again,
not in the last
looking
years.
At the World Cup. I'm just looking at the World Cup. That's it. I have nothing.
Not only World Cup. I think Dhoni extended his career at least by 2 years. And the way Dhoni was when he was captain, where he was throwing people left, right, and center from the team for non-performance, Kohli should have done the same to Dhoni. Because
I'm actually surprised that Dhoni extended his career for 2 years because he was smart enough to retire from Test.
Yeah,
he was not smart enough to retire from one.
Not smart enough. I thought that my thought process with Dhoni was he's an amazing guy. He follows. He preaches. He follows what he preaches.
Practicality, yeah.
Correct. And he did that with Test match, right? He realized he was not making an impact and he retired. That was an amazing decision. I thought he would do the same in one days. And
so Abhishek, there are commercial reasons behind it, correct? I don't know whether you guys follow that Indian news. So I think he had a investment of close to 100 or 150 crore in one of the builder or construction company, Amrapali. So I think he ended up losing that amount of money, and I think he had to file a case against them, correct? So that's one thing. And second, obviously, if you retire from international cricket or as a Indian team, you lose most of the commercial or advertisement contract, correct? So those are the things probably, even Sachin played more than what he was supposed to, I would say, because of, I'm going to say, commercial reasons only. And I think even BCCI helps in that sense, because eventually BCCI also ends up earning the money. Right? It's all about commercial angle. I think Dhoni played. Otherwise, as a person and as an individual, I think he's amazing. He probably would even quit Chennai CSK captainship probably soon. Probably if this season doesn't go well, I think he probably will kind of give someone else a captainship. But anyway, I think that's true.
But one thing I'll say that the amount Dhoni has flopped, Sachin never flopped that much. So I don't think it's a fair comparison, because if you really look at it, Sachin didn't play well in the last year. But if you look at Dhoni's record, Dhoni has not played well in the last 3 years. If you look at his record, I mean, again, don't consider IPL. I'm talking about international cricket. Dhoni has flopped in the last 3 years. In fact, Sachin never lost games for India, which Dhoni has. If you look at some, especially 2020, I can remember so many games that India lost because of Dhoni. And a lot of people say that's only in the last few years. I'll remind you, in 2009 World Cup 2020 in England, If you remember, Yusuf Pathan almost won the game for India, and because of Dhoni, India lost because Dhoni could not hit a single boundary in that innings.
True.
So,
I'm not agreed, but I'm not saying anything against Sachin. What I meant is, it's all commercial reasons. Probably people extend their career and not cricketing reasons. Even if Sachin comes back in our Indian side, probably he will play better than some of the folks right now we have. So it's not
so
a.
I'll tell you the other problem I have. The other problem I have is, why do Dhoni and Sachin actually get to decide this, right? I mean, the selectors, like Australia does, when people
BCCI.
don't perform, when they
BCCI.
don't perform, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, the rule should be the same for everybody, right? I mean, that's one problem I've always had. That, why is the onus on Dhoni or Sachin or anybody else? It should be simple. And I'm sure Dhoni and Sachin don't go and tell BCCI that, don't pick us. They do their job. I mean, obviously everybody wants to play as long as they can. I think it is the board that should have the power or the gumption to say that you are out of form, we are going to drop you. You are not the top performing player for this amount of time. Why does it come down to the player here? I mean, if you look at Australia, even their big guns, Steve Waugh did not want to retire. He was made to retire because he was not performing. Same goes with Michael Clark, Ricky Ponting. Ricky Ponting, I would still say he also dragged. If you remember, Ricky Ponting was also not playing well in the last 1 year. He was one of the few Australian players whose career was dragged, like Sachin's. But Dhoni, again, like I said, Sachin did not lose games for India. Dhoni has lost games for India.
Correct.
I like
Go ahead. Yeah.
I like to say something. So I think the commercial element is correct. I think that's one point, because these people are so used to the lifestyle, right? So they want extra money probably. I mean, I don't know how playing international cricket would help them. Yeah, probably it'll get them more endorsements. The other angle is that the board also wants endorsements, right? And the money for that.
Absolutely. It is all about that.
And then Sachin and Dhoni would obviously bring in more.
These are superstars.
But the other angle I want to prove the point is, Sachin was always criticized for that, right? He was always known that he extended his career.
Good point.
Dhoni was always.
Dhoni is supposed to be holier than thou, right? He's supposed to be holier than thou.
No. He was the guy who would show everybody the mirror and drop Ganguly and Dravid. You are not a good fielder. You are old. You can bat, but you can't field. But we need. He was so with that mentality. When you have created that image, when you create that image, follow through. Then, right?
Excellent point.
If I was Dhoni, I would have said Pant should get a chance. If Pant flops the first 3-4 games, I'll come in.
Yeah,
I would have gone up, and Virat Kohli would have listened, because Virat Kohli anyway listens. Because when Dhoni is on the pitch, Virat Kohli is not captaining. It's Dhoni who's captaining. I can guarantee that.
That's excellent point that you brought up. Because Dhoni is supposed to be holier than thou, right? He's supposed to be making. I think
he's the team man.
I couldn't have put it better than how Prince put it. He's supposed to be the one showing the mirror to everybody, but I think he forgot to turn the mirror towards himself.
He's the team man. He plays for India.
Yeah,
for himself. Tendulkar played for himself. Dravid played for himself. Lakshman played for himself.
Dhoni
only plays for India.
Exactly. So Dhoni never got the tag of being selfish, right? A lot of these other players have got the tag of being selfish, but Dhoni is supposed to be holier than the thou. He did it for everybody else. And then when it came to himself, he didn't follow it.
Dhoni's career was made by only one player, Tendulkar. CB series 200 saved his captaincy. World Cup highest run getter. People talk about Yuvraj Singh. Highest run getter was Sachin Tendulkar. He scored over 450 runs in that. I think he scored over 500 runs, I think.
No, not more than 500. But he was a top scorer. But yeah, Dhoni. But even Sachin was the one who actually nominated Dhoni's name as a captain.
No. Dhoni would have been replaced after the 2011 World Cup if India would have flopped, right? And Virat Kohli would have been made the captain at that juncture for the limited overs cricket, not Test cricket. But again, Sachin and Zahir Khan saved them.
Yuvraj. I mean, Yuvraj was the main guy.
Yuvraj was, again, Yuvraj's contributions later appreciated after the World Cup even more. During the World Cup, he was flopping as a batsman. He was contributing more as a bowler.
No. He didn't flop as a batsman though. He got 100. He got a 50. He did pretty good as in the World Cup.
100. Which he didn't. But
No, I
highest
don't
run
think so.
getter
He
by
scored
a,
100.
no, he didn't score 100. He scored 250s, I think. 2 crucial 50s.
Hold on.
I'm
No,
pretty
he
sure.
did not score 100. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tendulkar was by far the highest scorer. By far.
Correct.
He scored about 450 or 460 runs, and the next best was, I think, in the early 300s.
Correct. Yeah, I think that is true. But I think Yuvraj, I would say he was probably.
No, Yuvraj scored 100 against West Indies in the World Cup, 113.
Oh, is it?
And
Okay.
total runs?
I'm trying to see the total runs here. Plus, he scored 100 in one game. He got a 5-wicket haul in one game as well.
Yeah, his bowling was very effective. Yeah.
No, he had I mean, that's why he was the man of the series, man.
Because of sheer stats, I still feel Zahir Khan and Tendulkar were pivotal to India's success.
So it's here. Yuvraj Singh had 362 runs at an average of 90.5 in the World Cup.
Not outs, right? Yeah.
Sachin had 482, 120 runs more than him. But again, it's not. And then Yuvraj had how many wickets? He had 15 wickets.
Correct. No, that's
what
why
I'm
he won
saying.
the man of the series.
So
Yeah, but during the World Cup, we were more talking about Zahir Khan and Tendulkar because they were playing like they would. I think the only reason why Tendulkar did not get the award was because he flopped in the finals. Because he scored an 80 in the semi-finals also. And through the preliminary matches, he was consistently the best player of the tournament, not only just for India.
So here is the thing. So Yuvraj had 100 450s. Tendulkar had 200s 250s. Kohli had 100 150s. And Gambhir had
100.
450s.
Sehwag had 100 also, no? Against Bangladesh. First.
But that's the only thing Sehwag had. No, Sehwag had 100 150. Kohli had 100 150. Sachin had 200s 250s. Yuvraj had 100 450s. And then he also had 15 wickets. Plus a 5-wicket haul.
5-wicket.
So how many 50 Dhoni scored, man? I think he
zero,
took the limelight.
150.
Only the final.
150.
And he took the
That's what
limelight.
I'm saying. So, no, but to Prince's earlier point, I mean, the first time he retained his captaincy was because of Sachin. The CD series in 2008, where he single-handedly, I think he scored 117 and 93. But you guys have to admit, my memory is really good, man. See, I remember Yuvraj 100.
It's brilliant. I don't remember these things at all.
Correct.
But I mean, I'm not taking away the point. So Dhoni for me is one of the greatest one-day players. I mean, there is no doubt in that. In his prime, he was brilliant. I mean, I think the only player who matches him is Virat Kohli and Tendulkar probably in one-day international in terms of impact in limited overs cricket.
So
Dhoni has been brilliant.
The problem with Dhoni, I'll tell you, is he was brilliant, no doubt. I think in the last 2 years, he did not realize that his game had changed, but his method didn't change at all. So the difference was earlier, Dhoni could get 50 runs in the last 3 overs, right? So then he could pace his innings like that. The problem was his game had changed. Even then, even towards the end, he would take it to last 50 runs in 3 overs. But then he did not have the firepower to do it. What Dhoni should have done, he should have realized that he cannot do it in that short period now. So he should start taking risk a little earlier. That's how people adjust, right? I mean, all the great players, who are all-time greats, who finish really well in their careers, are the ones who adjust really well. You cannot play the way you played in the beginning. You have to adjust. All the great players do. What Dhoni should have done is, and what really shocked me about Dhoni's game in the World Cup also was, okay, I agree he's not able to make the big hits, but then he's such a fit guy. Somehow he was not even playing for the singles. Why couldn't he do what Azharuddin used to do even till the end? Azharuddin, he did not always rely on big hits, but he would play run a ball every time. And, Dhoni can do that. So if somebody like, say, Sourav Ganguly or Rahul Dravid, they were not fit players. they cannot, they had to resort to hitting, right? They could not take the singles. But that was not the case with Dhoni. Dhoni is very fit. But then he still did not try to play runner ball. He couldn't. The problem is he cannot play with soft hands. So he was not able to do that as well, which was a big shocker for me. Even with,
Correct.
I mean, if you look at the semi-final game, right? I think one of the reasons India lost was because Jadeja had to take too many risks at the end. Because
Correct.
Dhoni was not doing anything.
Yeah.
A lot of people keep saying that no, India got close because of Dhoni. He was tying one end. That is fine, but Dhoni was not even able to rotate the strike. That is what put so much pressure on Jadeja. Jadeja had to start hitting those aerial shots. He was not able to hit a single boundary. Dhoni.
And India's batting lineup, even if it's top heavy, you should be able to chase down 240, 250. I mean, if you consider yourself as the best batting lineup, then 240, 250 should be, chased down every single time.
No, I expect a fit guy like Dhoni to be able to take single every ball, right? If you are not able to get the big hits, I think that is where there was so much pressure on Jadeja. You remember how Jadeja got out, right? Because there was no
Slogging.
He was not able to rotate the strike. He tried hitting it out of the park again.
Because Dhoni was playing 3-4 balls on
Dot
over.
balls every over. So that again, I did not understand that mentality.
And
So
like
I
you
think,
said, yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that is one of the reasons Gambhir couldn't score century in 2011 final, correct? He was playing with Dhoni because Dhoni plays like he's not the one who probably can play in the gaps, correct? I think as you said, he cannot play with the soft hand. So I think he is fit, he is good runner, but I think for even one run you have to hit the ball in a gap, correct? So that's a limitation.
Correct.
Rane, Rane plus I think Dravid, those guys they always play good shot, but I think to the fielder it's no point. You cannot take a single, and that too with semi-final and final. Correct. The team is really good in the fielding. You will definitely get run out, run yourself out or your opponent out. I meant to say. But anyway, yeah, we go ahead.
So so the other thing is that Dhoni, like you said, is very one-dimensional. So he has a one-dimensional game, but he was brilliant at it, right? So when he was in form or in his prime, even that thing where he would take it to the end and then make you win. So when that stopped happening, you have to go to plan B. You can't keep playing international cricket for 12 years like that, right? Every person has to change. Sehwag had changed. If Sehwag can change, then anyone can change. So,
correct. I agree.
And that's brainless for someone who's
So supposed to be so astute. Yeah.
Astute, exactly. How can you not evolve your game? And one quick comment on Tendulkar there. He had the golden opportunity to retire as a World Cup winning player, and he had won the best Test player in 2010, and he would have ended his career on a high. What a stupid decision to play for another 2 years.
No. But see, again, I think one of the reasons he played was the 100s, right? 100 international hundreds.
That I didn't care about that then. I wanted him to not be like Kapil Dev and end his career. Just imagine, highest run getter for India. India wins the World Cup. Last year he was the best Test player in the whole world. And he was not just in terms of runs, the way he played. He was at that age, at age 36, 37, the way he played in that year in Test cricket. No one, Virat Kohli also can't play.
I agree. So 2011 was the right time for him to retire. He extended his career by 2 years, and then it brought his numbers down. His average went down by 3 points in that period, because I think in the last 10 Test matches he averaged less than 30.
No, and just saying that his love for the game. The love should also be for India, right? But the other problem was there was no replacement also. There was no replacement.
No, it is not. But I think it is unfair to expect that a player will give up. It is a bad expectation from anybody. The selectors should take a call. Simple. How it happens in Australia, right?
But
so you tell me, why will a player take a call that I will stop? True. Not be the case.
I'll tell you what is happening with Indian cricket, correct? So be it Sachin Tendulkar or be it Dhoni or be it Virat Kohli now, correct? I think these are the three players I could consider at that level. So they become bigger than the game or bigger than cricket, correct? In India, they're treated as a god, and even Kohli right now, I think Kohli should actually give up his captainship. You ask me, but I think he will not, because he's like like bigger than everything. Like even Narendra Singh Modi, PM, also invited him for one of those conversation in middle of IPL. It was not required. He has to focus on his game. I mean, it's okay to have it that way, but I'm just saying these three guys have become bigger than the game, and I think BCCI also, I think it does, like, it depends on, like, when in Dhoni's time, I think the Chennai team's owner Srinivasan was the BCCI head for like most of the period, and then so Sharad Pawar was, I think, BCCI head when Sachin used to kind of play good. So I think so those are the complications that we have in Indian cricket, correct? I think some of the state level cricketing board takes over BCCI, and their players probably play longer than the others or gets more chances than others, and it's really a political thing.
Well, that's something that needs to change. Nobody,
I agree.
No player, be it anybody, if you are not performing after a certain point of time, I mean, you need to be replaced.
But Abhishek, tu jo bol raha hai, I agree. But see, even Kohli and Ravi Shastri both were defending Dhoni like anything, correct? When everyone was like, let Dhoni retire. So everyone was defending. It was crazy. Why would Ravi Shastri has to say Dhoni can only decide himself? See, I think if you make player think like that, I think it gets into his mind.
See, that I agree. That I agree with the statement that why should Dhoni retire? That I agree. Why should anybody retire, right? But then why are the selectors being paid? Selectors need to take the call.
They have to be practical.
Exactly, and it should not be based on who you are. Statistics is the biggest proof, right? If you are not playing well, a lot of times, again, statistics is not everything, because there are times when somebody is playing well but has a bad run of luck. That is different. But we are talking about Dhoni. We are talking about Sachin in the last 1.5 years. It was not that they were unlucky. I mean, they were not playing well and they did not deserve a place in the 11. But BCCI has to have the ball. Why will Sachin fail? And that is the fact everywhere, right? If I was playing sport, I don't think I would say that I am going to. I mean, unless I have a major physical ailment where I'm not able to stand, that's different. But otherwise, I have a job. I have my job to play. I will play, right? And I'm sure Sachin and Dhoni at one point, they were confident that they were able to do it still. But the selectors need to have that gumption that I'm going to throw you out.
True, but I'll give you another point, correct? Forget about retirement topic, correct? Even the player to get selected in top, like Indian team, I'll give you. Right now, Sourav Ganguly is the BCCI boss, correct? Forget about who the selector is. The only reason Rishabh Pant is in Indian cricket team because Sourav Ganguly likes him much. He is also a mentor for Delhi. Other players are not even being tried. Like be it a Samson, or there is another wicketkeeper batsman. He is better than Pant. I am saying in terms of the number. Pant is a unique player, plays 360 degrees, so on and so forth, correct? But then I think selection is also kind of driven by biases or the partiality, correct? So that the same thing happens even for retirement as well. So I think it's in general, BCCI has to fix that thing for all, and I think selector should be an independent committee and should not be under anyone, and they need to decide and move on. Correct? So right now they are under pressure both from BCCI as well as the player, and that's how it happens.
But I'll tell you, the Rishabh Pant argument, I don't agree. Because if you look at Rishabh Pant's test record, I mean, he walks into the team without any questions. He averages 45 with the bat, and his wicket-keeping has been pretty good. Only wicket-keeper to score 100 in England and Australia.
So, because we haven't tried anyone else. That's the thing.
But who else could you have tried? In a
Wriddhiman Shah was the best choice, of course.
He was a good
but
keeper.
He was injured. He was injured.
So, I mean, there was no question. I mean, Sanju Samson, you cannot try him in test matches. In Ranji Trophy, he averages in the 30s.
But the other angle, I think Virat Kohli will not listen to anyone. Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri combination.
Plus, I'll tell you, Jolin, BCCI president has no say in the selection. He doesn't even have a vote.
Only captain and manager.
See,
Oh,
he just
Prince,
have to give a
Prince,
call,
I'll tell you,
correct?
even the captain and the coach they don't have votes in the selection. You know
No,
how
but
it
they
is.
have influence. But they have
They have
influence.
influence. Yes,
They have a lot of
influence.
influence.
They have influence, but they don't have a vote.
No, the problem with the
That's how the
Indian
thing
admin system is that the selectors are there to please the captain and the manager, which is the worst thing. You're not there to please the captain.
Right.
Of course, you will listen to their inputs, but you can't go blindly with their inputs.
But
They have to.
I'll tell you one thing. My personal opinion is captain should have a vote,
Yeah,
and
of course.
I'll
No,
tell you
but
why. I'll tell you why.
no,
When the team flops, who's going to be blamed? The captain has to take the blame, right? So I am a strong believer in the captain having a say in the team. I have no problems with Virat Kohli, liking somebody over others. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. The reason being, if you look at all the top captains, start with Imran Khan. Imran Khan was great because Imran Khan would fight for the players he wanted in his team. And Imran Khan's logic was exactly that. That if you give me a team that you have selected, right, and I don't interfere, when this team is going to lose, you're still going to blame me, right? I'm the captain. You're going to say you're the captain, your team lost. So I would rather, if you're going to blame me for losses, I would rather pick my own people. And all the good captains have always, had a hand in selection. Saurav Ganguly is a good test captain because he fought for his players. Harbhajan was even playing domestic cricket when he pulled him into the Australia series. And the captain has to have that kind of influence.
and
My
an
problem is
Indian captain.
BCCI driving that. The player who's playing, the captain should have that right. But why is BCCI driving selection and everything else, right? Your job, do your job. Your job is to appoint selectors. Selectors, you do your job. The other problem I have is, again, everybody pushing players from your zone. I mean, that is another problem.
But if you're saying that the BCCI is pushing their agenda, then I mean, that's to his point. Saurav Ganguly is the president of the BCCI, right? So
Correct.
I mean, so if he can push the case, then
No.
probably push Pant's
Again,
case.
when I say BCCI is the play, I'm talking about the selection, the selecting of players.
So that's what even he's saying, that Ganguly might have put up a good case for Pant also.
But what I'm trying to say is he might have put up a case. That's not my point is, who is a better option than Rishabh Pant in Test match cricket today? You tell me.
Not Test match. I'm talking about limited overs cricket. I think Samsung is better than Pant in limited overs cricket at this point. And even if he's not, give him a chance.
That I agree.
And don't make Rahul keep. Sorry, in 50 overs cricket, I don't want a keeper like Rahul. In T20, you can make him keep. You can make him cook food, dinner, lunch. Make him fly the helicopter. But for 50 over cricket, I feel there should be a keeper who can at least keep decently. And Pant is not a decent keeper. Neither is Sanju Samson. But they're better than Rahul.
No, but I'll tell you, in one-day cricket now, I don't think anybody is going to replace Rahul at this point. Because the problem is, the difference in keeping between Rahul and Samson is not that much that, they're going to play Samson and have Samson keep and Rahul play. That's the problem.
That is why Pant is also favored, because Pant is slightly better keeper than Samson.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I think let me say, I think we went in keeper route, correct? So I think I was only talking about Pant being selected in the World Cup squad. I'll tell you, Pant was a backup keeper, correct? Backup keeper could have been Rahul, and instead of Pant, we could have selected Iyer, Shreyas Iyer, or Ambavati Rayudu, or any per se, any other better batsman, probably even Rane in the middle order,
but
correct?
if you remember, Pant was not
Pant was in form.
Squad.
No, Pant was in form back then.
No, but Pant was not even in the original squad. Pant came in as a replacement, right? To this guy, Vijay Shankar. Vijay Shankar got injured. And then Pant flew in as a replacement. He was
correct.
not.
Dinesh Karthik was the second keeper.
Correct.
Not Pant.
That's what
Pant
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So Pant was not picked.
Agreed. So the like replacement, correct? Why would you replace Vijay Shankar with Pant, correct? He's not even a bowler, correct? You could have at least like replacement should have been done.
No, I'll tell you why. Because now the selectors were in a tough spot. You drop Rayudu, and now you're sending another batsman. So Rayudu is the 13th man. you don't select him, and then when you're sending a replacement, you have to send Raidu, or you send someone with a totally different skill set. And that's why they did that. And that's the fault of the selectors. Because at that point, yes, Raidu should have been the fit at that point to be sent. But since they did not want to send Raidu at that point, so they wanted to pick someone with a completely different skill set.
So that's my point. But that's my point, na? Ki Rishabh Pant was not picked. But again, I'll tell you now also, in Test cricket, I don't think they have a better option than Pant at this point, because Usman Shah's batting is not up to the mark. And honestly, now, and problem is India doesn't have genuine all-rounders, right? Hardik Pandya is also injured and all that. Because of that, India cannot. So if India had genuine all-rounders, India could have afforded a keeper who's, better keeper like Shah, but not a batsman.
World's best keeper.
But the problem is, because India doesn't have that strong all-rounder, India needs a wicket keeper who can bat reasonably well. And that's why Rishabh Pant, at this point, Rishabh Pant is our best bet in terms of Test cricket.
I think more than an all-rounder, I think our batting is not strong enough. Barring Pujara and Virat Kohli, we don't have a settled batting lineup.
Correct.
At one point, Murli Vijay and Dhawan were okay as an opening pair, but then Murli Vijay was out of form completely. Dhawan has lost his mojo. He's old now. It's high time we either get so we have Mayank Agarwal now, but he's just starting his career. So our batting lineup now in the current Test setup is average, and Virat Kohli and Pujara are world class. But why we win is because of our bowlers. At this point, we have a team which is identical to Pakistan in the 90s. We have a very good bowling potent attack, and we have two great players in the batting lineup, but the entire lineup is not settled.
No, and
it's very similar to Pakistan.
But I think, again, my opinion, one player whose career Virat Kohli, I think
ruined
was Ajinkya Rahane. Because Rahane was a genuine good player, and what he did, because he kept throwing him out of the team, bringing him in.
Sharma.
Yeah, because there was no stability, right? And then what happened was as a result of that, he lost his touch.
Confidence.
I mean, Rahane was such a good player, especially abroad. Abroad, I mean, how can you not have Rahane playing? And I was really surprised in 2015 World Cup, he played so well even in one days. But then he never got a permanent spot, in Virat Kohli's team. Again, I feel bad for Rahane, and this happens a lot of time. Some captains have, they prefer some players over the others. But again, the smart thing to do is, have a mixture of all kind of players, right? I mean, every captain will have its choices, but you have to have numbers to justify those choices, right? I mean, after a certain point, you should be ready to accept that this player is not playing, and then you replace him.
The biggest blunder we make is we judge on how the batsmen are performing in India. In India, you, me, and Jolin can play 1, 2, and 3 and score 50 runs each. Especially against the Test playing nations now in the current generation, barring probably Australia, right? But so you cannot judge these players purely in India, because Rohit Sharma, he wakes up in the morning and he says, I will score 200 and then I'll hit 10 sixes. And he will do that. In those dead conditions, Rohit Sharma will keep scoring runs. And you'll keep selecting him on an abroad tour on the basis of his record in India. And that is absolute crap. I would rather have bad language.
No, but if you want to do that, do it with a young player, right? If you see,
I would do the reverse. No. I would do the reverse. You perform abroad, I will make you play in India. You then you can increase your average. You give me a 50, not even highest, score 50 runs per innings in abroad conditions. I will then select you in an Indian tour, not the opposite way. And the bowlers also should be selected like that. Opposite. You perform in India, then you can probably perform in.
No, but I'm saying, if you have to do this, if you want to give a chance to somebody based on performance in India, you should do that to a young player. Problem of doing it with Sharma is Sharma has already proven that he flops outside, right? Why do you want to still keep giving him chance outside India based on his India performance? If say it's a youngster, right? He's just started, like say Prithvi Shaw, Manoj Agarwal. Now, in that case, it makes still sense that he's played well in India. Now you want to try him in abroad because you have not tried him. That's different. But with Rohit Sharma,
established player,
he's not played.
Established player. No, the other thing is I value 50 runs in Australia from Rahane in 3 test matches rather than anyone scoring 500 runs in India. I would rather have a middle order batsman who scores 250 runs in 3 test matches for me abroad than someone who scores 500 in India. Because you bring in any domestic player, I'm telling you any, including that Vihari. Vihari is probably a little better than I think he's a lot better than Sharma is.
He's amazing player. He's amazing player.
Yeah.
And he plays good under pressure. He plays good under pressure.
So Vihari, I agree, but I agree that Rahane has been wasted and now he's past his peak and now I think he can't recover anymore.
He's lost his confidence.
Now we don't have a number 5.
Yeah. Okay, guys, before we... Sorry, go ahead, Jwalan.
Yeah, last point, because I think Vihari's name came up, correct? I think when he plays abroad, correct, he looks much better than even Kohli, much calmer, like more composed. I think even he looks sometimes...
Oh, don't go there, man. Don't say that.
I'm saying he like appears. I'm saying not the scores or the way, because he looks much more composed. I'm saying he's much better player. I think we should see him, like he should get selected for next couple of years and he will prove his, I would say, worth.
I feel Vihari should get a chance in India now so that he can up his average and then get confidence and play in test matches abroad. You should not bring in Sharma because Sharma will again score a 200. And you know what will happen? So
but now Sharma is not competing against Vihari, right? Well,
I know.
Up the order now.
No, but you know what will happen, right? He'll score a 200 here as an opening batsman. He'll go abroad. He'll flop the first matches. They'll play him in the middle order. They'll play him in the middle order. And then Virat Kohli will say, he has played as a middle order batsman from Bombay. So we were playing him out of position. Now he needs more matches. I don't know what. I mean, Rohit Sharma, I think, is the Najaiz Bacha of Dhoni and Virat Kohli. I have no idea why he gets chances in test matches again and again.
Prithvi Shaw hona chahiye tha. I think he's the best guy to open right now.
Yeah, at least time out. Play him 10 test matches. He got banned.
Okay, guys. I know we've been at it for almost 2 hours now. So before we end, one final question is: who do you think is going to win the IPL this year?
I'm going to support. I'm going to support Delhi Capitals. Delhi Capital? Yeah, Delhi.
Jolin?
Yeah, so I will say 2: Mumbai Indians and Kings 11 Punjab.
Oh, Mumbai Indians, no chance. So I'll tell you. I still support KKR, but I think Delhi Capitals is going to win. Delhi Capital looks like a good team. Again, we'll know.
I don't know why, but I support RCB. I used to support Mumbai Indians before because Tendulkar was there, and now I support RCB because Virat Kohli is there. I have an affinity to one star player.
I support Kohli wholeheartedly. Unfortunately, I've been disappointed so many times with RCB that now I don't think even it'll happen. But I want Kohli to do well. Yeah. That's
the only positive thing about RCB is they have Stoinis. They can still win the IPL, I'm saying, because of Stoinis, because I think he's an amazing player. I think he can win them like 3, 4, 5 matches on his own.
Stoinis, somehow he doesn't give me the confidence. Even though he played an amazing innings in the first game, somehow I don't get confidence in Stoinis at all as an all-rounder. Somehow I mean, honestly, he did well this time. With Stoinis, I used to get the same feeling like Vijay Shankar, where I used to see him bat, he's a better bowler. When I used to see him bowl, I used to think he's a better batsman.
With Stoinis, I'm going to say this, that I said it once for a similar player and he became world class. So I'm going to say it again and Stoinis will become world class.
Ben Stokes.
I said it for Shane Watson. Shane Watson was exactly like Stoinis. Could not bowl that well, could not bat that well. As soon as I said it in 2008-9, he completely transformed. I mean, he became a better bowler. He became an excellent batsman, and then he just won everything. So Shane Watson's first 3 years or 4 years of international cricket was absolutely crap. Very crap. He would get hit, but then his batting improved, and maybe Stoinis will do the same.
Yeah.
And I think that only happens to Australian player, because even Steven Smith, correct, he was like started as a leg spinner and
Leg
then become a great batsman. So I think it happens with Australian batsmen a lot. I think they transform themselves somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you again. Great discussion. We'll continue to do this every week. I know at least 3 of us are there every week, which is good. So guys, one request I have: whenever I put it up on Facebook or link, share the link. Try to share on from your profile as well. I do tag some of you, but share so that we can get more views and more hits. That's the whole idea. But again, great discussion, guys. Think about a topic for next week and send it to the group, and then thanks for joining today again. This message is for everybody who has been supporting us so far. Please continue to support us. Provide us the views that we need for our channel. Also, share it in your social media so that anybody else who's interested can join us as well. I'm trying to connect some of the other YouTubers who are interested in cricket, the more popular ones. Let's see. I mean, I've been trying to connect with them. If we can have them as guest participants on our podcast, that'll be great. Again, I know it's a far-fetched thing, but there's no harm in trying. I'm going to keep trying that, and hopefully we'll have some of them on our stream very soon. Again, subscribe to our channel. Continue to view our content, and we promise to bring you a lot more in the coming days. That's it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Talk to you guys soon. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.